What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Ortho-K podcast. My name is Matthew Herzberg, and I am the Executive Director of the American Academy of Orthokeratology and Myopia Control. For this episode, I thought it would be fun to give our listeners a peek into the post-con wrap-up conversation with three of our AAOMC board members and what I consider to be the core of the education committee responsible for Vision by Design. We did introduction episodes with Cary Herzberg, Cauchi, and President Paul Levine, ramping up to the meeting, and I thought, why not share our post-con retrospective as well? VBD 2019 was so much fun, and there was so many great moments, I thought it would be nice for us to share some of the highlights, as well as some things we would like to improve upon for next year. But before we get to the discussion, I just wanted to add that if you were at VBD 2019, make sure to check your email for our follow-up survey, which went out recently, as well as the meeting survey from the University of Houston College of Optometry, who served as our COPE administrator for Vision by Design 2019. Now, let's get to the episode. All right, Vision by Design is just closed. And I have on the line with me Paul Levine, President of the American Academy of Orthokeratology and Myopia Control. I have Cary Herzberg, Chairman of the Board. And I have Caroline Cauchi, Board Member and Fellowship Chair. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey,
Thank you.
hey, man. Hey, guys. Great to be here.
Hi, everybody. Yeah.
I don't know about
live.
I don't know about you guys, but I am drained. That was a heck of a meeting, and wow, we are recovering.
Yeah, we got started on our part Tuesday evening, and it went right through Sunday afternoon. It was steady and nonstop. Total
Going
immersion.
strong. Amazing. You're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of do a post-meeting wrap-up because the three of you are kind of the core of the education committee, and although there are lots of people that help out with Vision by Design, I consider the three of you to be the core. So I thought we could spend a little bit of time going over what we thought of the meeting and what's in store for Vision by Design in the future. So I'm going to start with Paul, and guys, feel free to just jump in at any time if you want to comment or have a follow-up question. It's a discussion. We're just going to have some fun. So, Paul, what is your takeaway from this year's Vision by Design?
Well, high energy is always the thing that comes to my mind. Whenever we go and do these things, and this year I think more than any in the past that I can even remember, everybody is just so excited and happy to be there, from the vendors to the attendees to the lecturers to everybody that's involved. It's just so much fun, and it's so educational, and it's like a family reunion because you get to see the people that maybe you don't see all that often, or you see them once a year at Vision by Design. You get to meet a bunch of new people. You get to put faces to the names because, of course, we have such an active Google group and Facebook group, and it's terrific to actually get to really chit chat and meet these people. But as busy as we all were, I think everybody was busy. The vendors were busy. The attendees were busy. It was just kind of nonstop, Vision by Design. It just, like Cary said, it for some of us, it started Tuesday, and went straight gangbusters through Sunday without a lot of breaks. And everybody really persevered and I think had a fabulous experience. I've heard nothing but really positive and encouraging, vibes and reports from the people that came.
I totally agree with that, and I think what this year what we had special was, and this was kind of a configuration in the hotel, is because we had that long distance you had to walk to get to where the lecture hall was and the exhibit hall. And I remember, Caroline, what was that, Tuesday night? You and I were setting up the signs.
Yeah.
All the signage for the event. And I kept thinking to myself, people are going to walk down this hall and they're going to see these signs. We're going to see these giant VBD balloons, and it's going to be like this is going to be a transformative process of walking into this meeting. Caroline, would you agree with that?
I would agree with it, and I'll throw in a funny quip, because Matt and I were setting up those signs like at 11 o'clock at night, Tuesday night, and they're big, they're tall, they're heavy, and we're carting them through the hallways, and all of a sudden we realize that we're smashing into the chandeliers, and the chandeliers are shaking back and forth. We're like, no, don't fall on us, they'll cost $1 million and kill us. And we did that twice. It took us a while to learn how to not knock into the chandeliers, but yeah, and it was a long haul, but in some sense we got walking points for it, so it wasn't all that bad. And a lot of times in different kinds of meetings, you don't walk very much. Well, here we not only walk, we had to walk, and it still was fine. Everybody was just walking and smiling and meeting people in the hallway and talking to them. It was fabulous.
Yeah, those VBD balloons were awesome, weren't they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
they
I
were
love them.
fun. Yeah. And what I guess what I remember with this meeting was so many new young doctors, and that really has to do with Matt reaching out to a lot of the social media that older doctors don't pay attention to, and these doctors are young, and they were so excited to be there. I saw the bulk of them at boot camp, and they were just chomping at the bit. You couldn't walk 1 foot without somebody tackling you and wanting to talk with you. And I was happy to do it. I'm sure everybody was happy to do it, because it just helped to make them understand that we're friendly, but more importantly, that they can do it. And that was very gratifying.
Yeah, at one point in time, I think I counted we had over 200 people in boot camp.
Yeah,
and I think that was amazing. And and I think I'm going to ask each of you about your favorite parts of the meeting coming soon. But for me, one of my favorite parts was when I was passing out those glow rods. Caroline asked us to provide to the attendees. We actually didn't have enough, unfortunately, because we hadn't ordered enough. But I just was going table to table and handing out a glow rod. There was a button on the bottom of it that you had to press to light them up. And I was passing one out to each person as Caroline, you and Matthew Martin were on stage, and everyone's giving me this look, and some people were like, "What is this for?" And I was like, "I don't know, but it's gonna be awesome." And it was awesome. The people were on their feet with those things and waving them around, and
yeah, the extravaganza of all those wands flopping in the air. They were hitting each other and poking, and it was such a visual. Oh, I can't wait to see the video. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, the video is going to be great. So, Cary, let me throw to you real quick. So, what was your favorite part of VBD this year?
It was the fact that even in those hours where people are fading, the long hours that this meeting is, we had full houses. I mean, 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, the place was packed. Sunday was a great turnout, and Friday all day, the people didn't go. I mean, a lot of meetings, they just come for a couple of things and they leave. This thing was the people packed that place from morning till evening. God bless them. They really put the time in, and they were really entertained and educated all those days. So it was nice to see.
I agree with you on that, and I talked on the very last spot on Sunday, and I did that because I wanted all the other people to have a highlight, and I thought, well, people are just going to walk out because they're going to go and they're tired, and they stayed.
Yeah, I
and
know.
listened to me.
I know. I wanted to put the Ferris Bueller thing up at the end. It's over. Time to go home.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Paul,
I felt like saying, you like me. You really liked me.
So, Paul, what was your favorite part of VBD?
Oh, it's such a hard question, but I guess I would say, and it's one of the things that I think we do really, really well is the time in the exhibit hall. I think that we give a lot of time to that. So the opportunity to get to know the vendors and to see all the different products that are being presented, I think is awesome. But the energy in that room is amazing. Like, you can't, like Caroline said, you can't take 5 steps without someone else sort of, wanting to chat, and you talk a little bit, and then you turn, and then there's somebody else, and people pulling each other to introduce, and so, I always really loved the energy in that exhibit area, and I have to say, I thought the food was outstanding. I thought the quality of the food was terrific, and I thought that the variety was really awesome. So kudos to you, Matt, and Sarah for helping find that place, and kudos to the hotel for really I think stepping it up.
Yeah, it wasn't hotel food; it was delicious food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every time we tour a potential location for VBD, they ask you, well, what are the most important things? And one of the most important things for us is that I try to communicate is I say, look, we try to be a meeting that has good food, because when people enjoy what they're eating, it's easier for them to have a good time. It's easier for them to learn. They have more fun in the exhibit hall. Everyone's having a better time, and it just pays off. And the hotel definitely did their part this year and continued that tradition. So yeah, it was an excellent venue. And my own time in the exhibit hall, I encountered a lot of people and talked with many exhibitors. And one of the exhibitors had said, I said, how are things going? She was like, really, really good. Like, I'm gonna contact my boss and say, this is the meeting I want to do every year. Don't send me to other meetings. So, a lot of exhibitors, gave me the thumbs up on their way out, or told me they did really well. And, we love to hear that, because we want to be a meeting where these two groups can meet and talk with each other and enjoy in the experience. So, Caroline, what was your favorite part of the meeting?
Well, my most favorite part was getting that big award. But that was just me. Okay. So what
was the award for anyone that wasn't there? Because this was a surprise to me.
It was a surprise to me.
Somebody was, it's very well deserved. But if somebody told me that this was going to happen, I've completely forgot about it. But it was
No, this was Cary and I conspired on this one. Nobody else knew.
That's what I figured. You guys went all stealth mode. And
Right.
Caroline, Caroline's like, I got an award. And I was like, you did? So what was the award for?
Overdue.
Well, yeah, it was just for a lot of the work that I do in the academy and have done in the academy for outstanding effort toward the academy. It was a total shock, and I couldn't even talk. It was like, okay, I'm speechless, fine.
Very well deserved. You put in a lot of time and energy and working with, our fellow candidates. I talked to a lot of the new fellows, which we did.
Great group.
And a lot of them had, great things to say, and it was nice to meet them. And so Caroline, about the fellowship process at Vision by Design, can you go into that a little bit more?
Well, sure, because that was going to be my favorite thing, because they had to take this journey, and the journey started way back in November when they applied. And then I spent a lot of time with them, teaching them how to prepare their cases, and we did study guides together, and I just really coached them along the way. And then at the very end, they took the tests and they passed, and the cases they put them in. It took a lot of work, plus coordinating all the different people who are going to test them, because that's no small feat, since there were a lot of people. And it was just so joyful to see them do such a good job in their oral exams, because they'd been working so hard. They were scared to death. We had them over for pizza on Tuesday night so we could calm them down and give them an adult beverage and some pointers. And so I think it was just wonderful to see these young people being so excited and so smart. Oh my goodness, they were so smart.
They asked great questions too, didn't they?
Yeah. It was just so cool.
Yeah.
So we added 7. That's a record number of fellows that we've ever added. And the amazing thing is I already have people applying to me already.
Awesome.
Because they got so excited that
amazing.
they're sending their applications. It's like, okay, guys, it's a little early, but all right, I'm going to hold your application. So yeah, that was an amazing
Yeah,
favorite
that's
part of
awesome.
mine. Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Well, one thing that I never get into the actual lectures. I'm always feel like I'm running around, trying to put out potential problems or push a cart full of something or other to another place, or handle registration or whatever. And I never actually get to go to any of the lectures. So what I wanted to ask you guys next, and we'll start with Cary, is what was your favorite lecture or workshop of this year's Vision by Design?
It's Matt. There were several. If I might take the time to talk about them because
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
they're noteworthy. Of course, Nick's presentation is the keynote, and Nick is so he's emotional and he's there with you in the moment, and getting the idea that you can't dabble in Ortho-K, you have to really commit to something. And myopia control is the same way. You can't dabble, and I think Nick's message, was really something to listen to that, and it's just right on as usual. And then to sit there and listen to two of the more interesting lectures that we had were not even on Ortho-K. They were Jaume Fabre's presentation on the soft multifocal profiles, power profiles, which was one of the most, he did so much research on that, and it was so classy, and the way it was presented was so useful with the information. I mean, finally getting these numbers out there, people aren't really aware of what the actual powers are of these multifocals and their effectiveness. And then Oliver Wu's presentation that he did on going beyond Ortho-K and all the new innovations that are coming up worldwide, because Oliver has that chance to, when the top in the world at this stuff has a chance to really preview a lot of these things that we won't see till next year or the year after, that are going to be available to our doctors to use in the form of spectacles and different types of soft multifocals and other aids that you can use for myopia control. So I think those three things were just, really stood out for me.
Agreed.
Excellent. Paul, what was your favorite workshop or lecture at Vision by Design this year?
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily my favorite, but because, it's all so good. But I like, we took a little gamble and we did an experiment this year by putting two Ortho-K tracks at the same time. We had a, sort of like an intermediate level track and then an advanced level track. And I think that worked out really well because the advanced topics, I think, were likely to maybe not be as useful and perhaps a little bit too complex for some novice or kind of new orthokeratologists. So it was perfect that they were able to go into a place where I think they were able to maximize their experience. So I think that was that turned out to be a really, really positive thing.
So what was the motivation behind doing that, splitting up into two tracks?
Well, in my mind, if you put on an advanced lecture, you're going to invariably leave some doctors in the dust. And I remember back to when I, was new at it, and listening to some of the discussions, just sort of kind of missing a little bit of it, not getting that much out of it. Conversely, I think that if you bring it down to a level that's a little bit too elementary, then your 500 fit, 1,000 fit doctors that are there are likely to skip it because they're probably not going to get too much out of it.
Gotcha. All right, and Caroline, what was your favorite lecture or workshop?
Okay, well, the ones that Cary talked about, John was really, really good. Loved it. Love. And what made me really sad is he at the very end put on a video with I Got the Power, and no one got it. No one got it. And it was so funny and it was so good. And it's like if he'd only told me, I'd have got up there and danced for him. But oh well.
The problem, if you remember, was the audio wasn't the audio turned on later in the video, so you actually missed the words, I got the power.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, yeah.
It was good. But I like two especially as well. the legal lecture, I think, was good for the newbies. And what I liked about it was I listened to it and I kept saying, yeah, good, I'm doing that. Yeah, good, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And it gave you confirmation that you're practicing within the legal limits and doing what you're supposed to do. So I think that was very useful. And he's a really good speaker. I was impressed by. And then the other one, the surprising ones were the fellowship lectures where Jeff Ward talked, and he did that little mini study of how he reached out to ophthalmology. And I was blown away by his lecture because I had no idea he was going to be so good. And I was very excited by his presentation, and I'd like to see him extend that and get more data and present that to us as a follow-up.
Yeah, good point. That was a slick, that was a cool lecture that he gave. Yeah.
Yeah, such a surprise little gem.
Right. And speaking of the future of Vision by Design, I'm going to throw it over to Paul. So what can we do to improve for next year?
Oh, God, I haven't even been able to think about next year. I'm still deflating from this year.
What about in the future in general?
I think every time we do this, we manage to step it up a notch. So, we've got some outstanding speakers. I think every year we try to bring in some new speakers, and that's something I'd like to continue exploring. And I think we just need to keep it fresh. I mean, the thing that I never want to be accused of is, it's all the same information year after year after year. Like, that's just never going to happen as long as I'm involved.
It's not in our meetings. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, good point.
And and I think keeping, presenting the information and the material is one thing, but the dynamic nature of the speakers that we get, it really sets it apart. I think there's just no downtime. It's all up. It's all you can see people taking pictures of slides and recording these things, and they're going to go back to their offices and watch it again and again and again. And I think that's a testament to what we provide.
Yeah, excellent. And Cary, I'm going to throw it over to you. What would you think is something we can improve for the future in Vision by Design?
Yeah, Paul and I particularly have been talking about this. Is we want to coordinate the scientific section even more closely with what we're doing. And I think we're going to get some lectures in that particular part of the presentation. They're going to be really exciting and applicable to what we're presenting them in the rest of the lecture. And there's parts of the scientific section that are really great, and there's other parts that I don't think coordinate well with what we're trying to tell the story of. And I think in the future you're going to see a lot better coordination of those two events happening, because we're very committed to the research, getting that research out.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And from my standpoint, I think we've got to search it. It's so hard, but we've got to search for new stuff. And it's difficult. And I think if we can open that up to the Google group and say, does anybody know of studies that are being conducted that aren't done yet, but maybe are in progress? We'd like to know about them so we can possibly get a pre-study lecture on that, because there's a lot of studies out there. I'd like to see a study done on comparing all the different soft multifocals and what the outcome is, based on what we know from JAWMA. From my standpoint, I'm going to look at boot camp, and because boot camp changes a little bit every year. It doesn't have to change like the main program, because the people that go to boot camp are new. And so we can do the same basic program because they need the same basic knowledge, but I'm going to look at it and change it up a little bit again and make it a little bit more relevant. And it'll still have that same crazy power, but I want to add a few more new things to it. So that'll be cool.
Cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. One thing that I hadn't brought up yet, but Nibbles and Knowledge was a huge success.
It was great.
That was brand new to this year, and it was a special Wednesday night event.
That place was packed.
Campers.
Yeah, wasn't it great?
Yeah.
There was food and some booze, and it was the opportunity because this came from feedback that you and Tom Washewski got about boot camp, about how the boot campers didn't feel like they got as much time with these essential vendors related to Ortho-K that they would have liked to get in the exhibit hall, and they wanted a more, I don't know, intimate, hands-on experience with that. Can you go into a little bit about what that was and how it worked out and what you liked about it?
Sure. Yeah, they got it for sure. What we did was we contacted 8 of the Ortho-K vendors that are really seriously, manufacturers, 2 topography companies, and 1 soft multifocal. And we just said, do you want to join us? If you do, come on, let's do it Wednesday night. Bring your equipment and be ready to give hands-on. Small group hands-on, and they were all on board really quickly. Not everybody, but most of them were, and it was very exciting. And the newcomers came right in, and then they started eating, and I thought, oh no. Yeah, they're not going to any of the, oh no. And you kind of want to push them, but what are you going to do? And then all of a sudden they were gone from the food and they were over at the different stations, and then they'd go to the next one and the next one. So all these vendors had at least 20 people around them at all times. And it was kind of cool. And the other thing that you don't know about is that we had a staff boot camp as well. It was smaller. We didn't advertise it as much because we wanted to see how we did. And I think we did very well. But they went in earlier and had a little mini nibbles with the topography companies. And so they were really happy to do it because usually staff get bowled over in the exhibit hall. And so here it was just staff, nice and quiet guys. And then we said, you know what, if you want to stay for the rest of the nibbles, you can. And most of them stayed, and they just went and watched and listened, and they didn't get bowled over. They were really, really excited about that too. And I thought the name Nibbles of Knowledge was really, really fun. It came from my sister. She came up with it. And it really, it's catchy. And, catchy is always makes it fun. But I tell you, that was a huge success. I think we haven't gotten the feedback yet, but everybody walked out telling me they were thrilled. So maybe they were just trying to be nice to me.
I heard great things from exhibitors and attendees alike. And, it's like I was saying earlier, it's like we just want to bring these 2 groups together so that they can, meet and go over everything. Because, these new boot campers, how often have I heard, do I need a topographer to do Ortho-K? And I say, look, according to our standards, a topographer is essential for Ortho-K. And they say, well, which one should I get? And I said, well, there are several companies that come to Vision by Design. They offer great products. I'm trying to stay industry neutral. But then I say, you know what? You should come to Vision by Design and you should go to boot camp because there's going to be a Nibbles of Knowledge event and you're going to have firsthand experience to see these machines in practice and hands-on, ask as many questions as you want. And the same things go for the different, lens manufacturers as well. So, home run, when this idea originally came up, I was like, let's do it because this, we needed to change that part of boot camp and we changed it for the better. So, well, you and Tom were definitely the inspiration behind that. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, and thank you because, we come up with all of these new harebrained ideas and you don't poo-poo us. You say, let's try it. Let's see. When I called you up and I said, hey, do you think we could afford to order some foam light sticks? He's like, sure. He didn't even question me. And
like, he probably should have questioned you.
Probably so.
Yeah, probably.
Well, look, it's, when I decided to get the giant balloons for VBD, it was a risk. Because it was like, should we do this? And it's like, yeah, we should totally do this. Like, we didn't know how well it would go over with people, but it's like we're trying to give the attendee an experience they're not going to get at any other meeting, and they're definitely going to get that in the lecture hall. They're definitely going to get that in the exhibit hall. So we need to make the entire meeting a different kind of experience. I want you to walk into Vision by Design and say, this is different. So mention the glow stick. I was like, yeah, let's make it happen.
I know.
All right.
Mission accomplished.
Definitely. Yeah. That's what I was going to say next was, great meeting, and you guys did a great job. Everybody on the education committee did a great job.
Yeah.
Kudos to the board of directors and the membership and everyone who came. And I just want to say, if you were at Vision by Design this year and you want to give us, your experience in a comment or an email, you can contact us at oaaexd@gmail.com, or you can get a hold of us on our Facebook page, or if you're a member, definitely pop into the Google group when I post this episode and give us your feedback. We'd love to hear about it. And if you have a quote for us about how good of a time you had at Vision by Design, we'd love to share that with the world for next year's meeting. So,
Definitely. Yeah, that's really important feedback for us. So please let us know what you think.
Yeah, that's another good point. Feedback is the best thing after a meeting that we can gather. So if anyone had anything negative to say about Vision by Design, we want to hear that as well, because if there was a problem, we can't make the meeting better if we don't know about it.
Yeah, and also for anybody that attended, you would have gotten an email from Amanda Johnson, who's one of our COPE administrators, who sends out surveys, post lecture surveys. So those are really important for for us to read through. So please fill those out when you get the email. So we should have already gotten them.
Definitely. All right. Does anyone have any final thoughts for Vision by Design, past, present, or future?
Yeah, it's the meeting every year. It hits the above the bar, beyond expectations. And I think in the field of myopia management in particular, I think we're finding that there's so much new research coming out and so many things that clinicians need to know, and you just can't listen only to one source. You have to hear everything that comes out to really understand what's going on, and that's our goal, is really to bring all this information to the attendees. And all of us at the education committee, I think we're really committed to making the a conference that is not there's second to none. Nothing when you talk about myopia management, Ortho-K, whatever it is in that kind of a topic area, sclerals even, that you're talking about a meeting that really is a cutting edge.
Well said. Anybody else?
And as I always say, you've heard me say this before, at least you guys have. If anybody thinks eye doctors are boring, they've never been to Vision by Design.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh,
for sure.
no.
Summer camp for optometrists, right?
Yeah,
you got
it. Kidding. Spring break.
What was that?
Paul, I think. You
right,
said
summer camp.
Yeah. That's how when I go to different venues and they say, "Can you tell us about your meeting?" I say, "Well, it's kind of like summer camp for optometrists." And then they look at me, and then I talk about the program, and then they start to understand after I describe it to them.
Yeah.
Caroline, anything final thoughts, past, present, or future about Vision by Design?
Let's see. I want to have more vendor support. I think they're starting to get that we are a force to be reckoned with, and that we're the main force. We're the ones that really, there's so many scattered different organizations doing a little myopia control there. Everybody's an expert now, but we really are the experts, and we have the experts together. So the vendors need to realize, come to us, and we'll make everything cohesive for you, and come next year for sure.
Yeah, where else can you have your attendees high five you and yell out "Justin Factor"?
Yeah. That's sick.
Yeah, a little bit.
All
Excellent.
right.
Thanks for doing this, Matt.
Yeah,
No,
thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you. Seriously, thank you for coming on here, and thank you for being a big part of the program. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who came to Vision by Design. For people I've known for years, for people I just met, for people I met at a meeting, 8 months ago or whatever, and told you about Vision by Design, and then you showed up and we shook hands and said hello, and I said, it's very nice to have you here. So, to everyone who came, thank you so much for being a part of Vision by Design. Thank you to all the exhibitors. We couldn't do Vision by Design without them. And we're looking forward to Bellevue next year, 2020. So check out our website,
Look forward to it.
orthokmeeting.com, for more details on that one.
Awesome.
Yeah, April 15th to the 19th.
That's right, yes. Okay.
All right.
Well,
Great. Thanks.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you all. And
Bye.
speak with you next time. Bye.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that's our episode. VBD was a blast. And if you attended this year's meeting and have a personal story, comment, or feedback that you would love to share, send me an email at oaaexd@gmail.com, or leave a comment on the Facebook group, the Google group, or wherever you found this episode. We would certainly love to hear it. Also, please remember to keep an eye out for the surveys coming your way. The feedback we receive about Vision by Design is extremely helpful in making it better and better with each year. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time right back here on the podcast.